Construction of the Talyllyn Railway started in 1864 to serve the needs of the Bryn and Glwys slate quarry. Also dating from this year, locomotive number 1 was built by Fletcher Jennings and Company of Whitehaven to the railway's unusual 2-foot 3-inch gauge. The locomotive started life as an 040 saddle tank, but its short wheelbase brought the addition of trailing wheels to prevent a rocking motion. Despite the addition of locomotive number 2 a few years later, number 1 remained the more popular of the two engines and was given the most use. By 1945, when it was retired from service, it had become worn out. When the Preservation Society took over the railway in 1951, there was no prospect of using number 1 again. It would have to wait until 1957 before restoration was completed by Gibbons Brothers of Leicester. Locomotive number 2 arrived at the railway in 1866, also built by Fletcher Jennings, but to a radically different design to that of number 1. The locomotive's longer wheelbase, with the rear axle positioned behind the boiler, required a patent valve gear arrangement driven from the front axle. Unlike the saddle tank configuration of number 1, number 2 carries water in tanks behind the cab and between the frames. Operating at a slightly lower boiler pressure and with slightly smaller cylinders, number 2 has less tractive effort than its older partner. Despite this, the locomotive hauled all of the railway's traffic after number 1 was laid aside. Locomotives numbers 3 and 4 were purchased from the nearby closed Corris Railway in 1951, but it was to be a while later before number 3 could be called upon to reliably operate without derailing, and number 4 required heavy boiler repairs from the Hunslet Engine Company in Leeds before it could be called to service on the railway. These original 4 locomotives were joined in 1954 by number 6 and in 1991 by number 7.